Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales of Mysterious Origins, a place you'll find original stories written and read to you by host me, Tiger. Today we're diving back into the King's Guard of Exoria. This of course is an original story. In the last chapter we met the King's Guard, 5 individuals who deal with the creatures from the Lost Dimension. The last chapter ended with the Lost Dimension creatures being in the kingdom and assaulting the kingdom itself. 6-legged green furry cats running around and destroying things. So, let's dive in. The King's Guard of Exoria. Chapter 2. Assault on the Kingdom. The kingdom of Exoria was riddled with Lost Dimension cats, large beasts with 6 legs, covered in black and bright green fur. Pantrax ran into the main centre of town and ran into his knights. "Start spreading out! Cover the innocent. Tell the children to stick with their families. Tell them to hide under tables. Barricade the doors and windows. If they have weapons, keep them close, but do not engage if not necessary," Pantrax ordered. His knights all nodded and started running off in different directions throughout the streets. Z and Kara ran up to one of the cats. It growled at them. Z gripped his greatsword and he swung the weapon with ease, slamming his blade down. The cat jumped back, dodging the attack. Kara ran past the beast and scaled up the wall, then she kicked off of it and swung her axe down and caught the Lost Dimension cat's tail, slicing it clean off. The beast howled a painful roar. Then Z stabbed the creature in the shoulder. He twisted the blade and the cat screeched, then dropped dead. Another demonic cat landed on the ground and paced around Z and Kara as Z pulled his sword out of the deceased body. They both took their stances. As the creature jumped at them, its green claws extended, ready to strike. Kara swung her axe and cut the demon cleanly in two, its blood and guts splattering over the couple. Z and Kara quickly ran down the street and found one of the cats pulling a knight by its arm, blood spilling into the dirt, the knight crying out in pain. Kara pulled out her blessed stone and dragged it across the blade of her axe. The blade became engulfed in a white energy. Then she threw the axe with all her might and it slammed into the creature. Z then jumped over the cat and glided the tip of his sword across the demonic beast. The beast stumbled, then Z swung his sword and sliced 3 of its legs. As Kara pulled her axe from the beast dropped to the ground. Kara swung her axe into the beast's head, killing it. The blessed effect vanished from her axe. Bay ran up to him. "Dad, tag me in!" Bay yelled. Z looked at Kara with a concerned look. "I say let him. We need to snip this in the bud quickly," Kara stated. "Agreed," Z said. Then he grabbed his horn and blew it hard. With the tune echoing, Bay then grinned as the skin of his body flaked away in a fiery wisp. His body shifted and it grew. He then shifted into his dragon form. Bay was born on the side of a volcano, one of many homes to dragons, ancient beings that were half lost creature and half of something that lived on Earth way before humans did. Bay was dipped in the blood of a dragon as a newborn to reserve warmth, and it affected him in many ways, giving him the ability to turn into a dragon, which eventually became limited to the special horn which Z carried at all times. Bay's dragon form was large, 4-legged, with a wide wingspan. Bay's dragon form was a light brown, scaly colour. "Alright, let's go," Bay yelled in his mind. Everyone in the King's Guard could hear Bay's thoughts in dragon form, a spell put on the team from a friendly spellcaster. Bay took flight and soared over the kingdom. He saw one of the demons trying to claw its way into the house. He could hear children crying out. Bay flew down, grabbed the demon with his mighty jaw, flew up and clenched his teeth into the beast, and then dropped the creature from a devastating height. The creature crashed onto the ground, its bones snapping on impact, killing it. Pantrax ran into the crowd of maids who had not got a chance to hide. 3 of the beasts circled the small groups of damsels. Pantrax rolled in and drew his sword from his shield, and then he sliced one of the cats, striking its jaw. Then he started slamming the rim of his shield on the ground, causing the demonic cats to back off, using the noise as a distraction. Then one of the cats launched at Pantrax and tackled him to the ground, and bit the rim of his armour. Pantrax could feel its breath on his neck. Then he pushed the beast off of him with his shield. Then he stood, and the 3 demonic cats growled at Pantrax. He then stood tall and pulled his wolf necklace out from under his armour and held it up into the air. "Aid me, my pack!" Pantrax roared. Then suddenly he was surrounded in a pack of spirit wolves. The alpha howled and the wolves ran at the three cats, and the spirit pack tore the cats to shreds, pulling the three demonic beasts apart. The alpha walked up to Pantrax and he placed a hand on the ghostly blue wolf. "Thank you for your aid," Pantrax said to the wolf. The wolf pack then ran off and phased away.
Calling all heroes and fans of the extraordinary, get ready to morph into a world of fan fiction like never before. I am Cosplay Dude 637, and I'm here to tell you about Power Rangers Universe 19. Picture this: Ultra Rangers defending the universe, Cyberforce Rangers navigating the digital frontier, and the high-flying adventures of the Power Rangers Skyforce. But that's just the beginning. We've got Kamen Rider Wizard conjuring magic, Kamen Rider Drive racing against time, and Kamen Rider Ghost unraveling the supernatural mysteries. And that's not all! Experience the musical journey of Power Rangers Masters of Music, and the blood-shivering adventures of Kamen Rider Kiva brought to you by Tai Tiger. Then, brace yourself for the epic tales of the Beetle Troopers by Mark the Red Cornish Ranger. So, why should you tune in? Because Power Rangers Universe 19 is not just a podcast, it's a portal into a multiverse of fan fiction brilliance. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platforms. Search for Power Rangers Universe 19 and join me, Cosplay Dude 637, on an adventure that will ignite your imagination and redefine what it means to be a hero. And remember,
and let the power protect you.
Ignis and the princess ran through one of the castle corridors. Ignis stopped, spun around, dropped down to one knee, and aimed an arrow at the door just as they ran through. The princess stopped in her tracks. "Ignis, come on!" she ordered. Ignis got back up, placed the arrow back in his quiver, and followed the princess into her quarters. "Didn't realise I'd be in your room so soon," Ignis mocked. "Ignis, please, there's a time and a place," the princess snapped. Ignis chuckled. Then he opened the window and aimed an arrow out of it. He released the arrow and it flew across the air and struck one of the demons that were in the marketplace. Then he closed the window and both Ignis and the princess ducked down behind the table. I think the knight was a distraction. He seemed too eager. He broke the rules. I think my shot disrupted his plan. This was all meant to be taking us by surprise, Ignis muttered. "Hey, you did good. The King's Guard are doing exactly what they're meant to," the princess told him. "Yeah, I know," Ignis nodded. Then suddenly the sound of glass smashing came from the corridor on the other side of the door. "Wait here. I'm gonna go check it. Before it finds you. Don't move until I call you," Ignis ordered. The princess nodded, then she kissed Ignis. He then turned and climbed out of the window, and he hung off the ledge. He shimmied across till he reached the corridor window. He opened the window and swung in. He landed in the corridor and clocked a demonic cat sniffing one of the doors. It turned around and saw Ignis as he stood. "Sorry, love. Am I late? I was baking bread for far too long," Ignis mocked. The six-legged creature ran at Ignis and lunged at him. He rolled to one side and withdrew his broadsword. He swung the sword and the blade caught the cat's hind legs. It growled and hissed in pain, then it ran at Ignis again. He ducked down and kept his blade up, making the lunging cat catch the tip of the blade as it sliced its stomach. It landed, then it turned around and swiped its claws, catching Ignis in the shoulder. Then it pounced one more and crashed into Ignis, knocking him down, and pinned him to the ground. Ignis struggled to move as the cat dug 4 of its 6 set of claws into Ignis's stomach and chest. Ignis growled in pain. The cat snapped his jaw. Ignis leaned his head to one side, dodging the snap of its jaw. Ignis tried to fight the cat. He punched it in the face, which resulted with no effect. Then he tried to grab his sword, but could not reach it. Then suddenly a blade went right through the demonic cat's head, killing it instantly. The cat dropped onto Ignis, who grunted underneath the weight of the beast landing on him. He looked up to see Z stood above him, retracting his sword from the beast's skull. "Are you okay down there?" Z chuckled. "Yeah, just get this thing off me, yeah?" Ignis moaned. Z clipped his sword back onto his back and then removed the corpse of Ignis, being extra careful when pulling its claws out of his stomach and chest. Then he pulled Ignis to his feet. "Thanks," Ignis muttered. Then the princess walked out of her bedroom. "Oh my dear boys, are you okay?" the princess asked concerned. "Just fine, your majesty," Z nodded. I'm fine, Ignis said. Then his eyes rolled in the back of his head as he passed out. Z caught him mid-fall. He scooped him up and quickly carried him to the medical wing in the castle. Z and Kara stood there as they watched over the unconscious Ignis. Then the doctor came up to them. Seems like Ignis has been poisoned, the doctor told them. Is there a cure? Kara asked. Well, luckily this isn't life-threatening. Whatever type of poison it is, it's just forcing him into a comatose state. He won't wake up, and yes, to answer your question, there is a cure, but I am missing a key ingredient, the doctor sighed. What is it that you need? Z asked the doctor. White mushrooms. Hard to find. They are nocturnal and only grow in certain areas. The doctor sighed. It's okay. We know somebody. Kara nodded. The 4 members of the King's Guard stood before the princess and the queen. Your Highness, we need to take a day-round trip to collect the missing ingredient to help Ignis, Z explained. We were just under attack by the beings of the Lost Plane, the queen chimed. Your Highness, Pantrax would stay behind with Bay, giving you the protection you need, Kara told her. The queen looked at the princess and they nodded at each other. I grant you permission to go ahead with this mission of yours, the queen told them. Thank you, your highness, Z said. Everyone bowed, then they all left the throne room and left the castle. Z turned to Pantrax and handed him the horn that would allow Bay to turn into his dragon form. In case you need Bay's assistance, Z told him. Thank you, brother, and please, be careful, Pantrax said. Always, Z replied as they locked forearms. Bay gave his mother and father a hug. Be safe, okay? Both of you, Bay told them. Boy, repeat the 3 rules of a lost hunter, Z ordered. Be safe, be mindful, be strong, Bay replied. Good. I love you, Z said, ruffling his son's hair. Love you too, Dad, Bay grinned. Kara and Z walked away and climbed upon horses. Then they rode off, leaving the kingdom, and headed off in search of the white mushroom. This story is an original story, as I've told, of all stories on this channel. These stories are all connected in one universe and connect to characters such as William Cranston, Mr. Pocket, and the Game Master, characters found throughout all my channels, the other Tiger Tales stories. So make sure you go check them out. Now, on with the outro.
This podcast is a production of the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
Thank you very much for listening to this chapter. If you want to hear more fanfictions and storylines, I have plenty of other Tiger Tales channels that you guys should be checking out. I'm going to give you a list of all of them. There's Tiger Tales, the channel that started it all. There's Tiger Tales The Lost Stories, a channel dedicated to storylines with the first-person view. Tiger Tales Game Over, a channel dedicated to video game storylines. Tiger Tales X, official crossover fanfictions on this channel. Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins, all my original storylines coming from myself go on that one. Then you have Tiger Tales One-Offs, a Tiger Tales channel dedicated to one-off storylines that have no continuation. We've also now expanded to podcasts, so make sure you check out everywhere you can listen to your podcast, the Fiction Fighters podcast, where you'll find a storyline called The Fiction Fighters, where fiction is power. I want to use this moment to thank all my supporters and the partners of Tiger Tales. First off, make sure you check out Cosplay Dude 637. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all the places you can find him and where you can listen to his fanfictions. First off, there's Power Rangers Universe 19, a podcast dedicated to Power Rangers and Kamen Rider storylines. You'll also find a few of my stories on there too. Then, you also got Sailor Moon E, a Sailor Moon dedicated podcast storyline. Then you have The Order, Cosplay Dude 637's original storyline goes on this podcast. Then you have the One Piece audio drama YouTube channel, audio drama dedicated to One Piece. Then you have Nostalgia Time, a YouTube channel dedicated to all fanfictions and storylines that are meant to make you feel nostalgic. You also have Marvel Universe 19, where you'll find Marvel related fanfictions. You can also find some of my storylines there too. Now, of course, me and Cosplay Dude 637 are part of a studio called the Three Ranger Bros Studios, so I'd like to mention the third member, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and his podcast, Nursery Comics, where he adapts comic books into audio dramas, and you can also find his original Power Ranger storylines there as well. A quick shout out to a few of my supporters. We have the If You Give a Dad a Podcast host Jared, make sure you check out his podcast, he interviews some amazing guests. The Zero to Hero podcast, the Bulk and Scholar podcasting, Billy and Jim, of course have been there since the get-go, so make sure you check out the Zero to Hero podcast. Some of my stories wouldn't be here without the Author's Crown YouTube channel's host, A Crown, so make sure you check out the Author's Crown YouTube channel with his fanfictions there. Now, if you'd like to hear me interview content creators about their content, or geek about specific topics with a bunch of geeks, make sure you check out the Tiger Nexus podcast. My podcast can be found everywhere you can find your podcast, and we have a great time. We usually upload on Mondays. Now, of course, make sure you check out the links down below. It'll lead you to some of my other channels. I game on YouTube, I do artwork on YouTube, and I like to talk about movies, TV shows, and comic books on YouTube. So make sure you go check out the other channels. A huge thank you to everyone watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and of course hit that notification bell so you don't miss another chapter. Roar of passion, everybody, and I shall see you guys in the next one.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.